Today's episode, I bring on Christie Miller, and Christy is a spitfire. That is the best word for her. And I enjoyed our conversation so much. And I knew I would because I met her at an event, and this was October, so about 8 months ago. And from the minute I met her, and it was just a coincidental meeting, we happened to be sitting near each other, and we started to chat. And I just loved her, and I loved her story. I remember her telling me about a big impetus for her in changing her life at midlife was her father died suddenly. And so we talk about that, but she's done so many different things. And that's what I love is that I say in the interview that she was a dabbler. Well, dabbler can mean a bad word in the entrepreneurial world. Dabbler can mean that you don't go all in. And Christy goes all in on everything. What I meant by dabbler is she's tried so many different things. And I love her story. It's perfect for the podcast because it wasn't until she got to midlife that she found what she was brought here on earth to do, and she's doing it and she loves it. So she is now a coach, and she helps coaches coach. So she's in the health and fitness space. And so she helps health and fitness coaches with their businesses and helps grow their businesses. And she also is a Jack Canfield certified trainer. And if you don't know who he is, we talk about him in the episode, so you'll have to listen. But he was very influential when I got started in my entrepreneurial career because his book, The Success Principles, was very powerful to me. But we talk about that, and then so I don't even think we go over all of her career, so I'm just going to tell you now. She was a financial analyst, a corporate attorney, interior designer, and an LA County sheriff before she became a coach. How interesting is that? And then she got super burnout as an attorney, and her health went to pot. And when her dad died, that kind of was the impetus for her changing her life and leading her down. Although it wasn't immediate, as often happens, we start our journey, the breadcrumbs from the universe start to appear at our feet, and if we're smart, we start to follow them. So, and she did, and she's wonderful. So let's get to the interview now. Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Lives. And I have somebody who is a go-getter with me today. And I like what she does since I, as most of my listeners know, is a Beachbody coach. And so she is in the health and fitness space. And I could have used her probably to help me back in the day. But I met her at an event in October, and I just loved her. I mean, you were the easiest person, Christy, to talk to. And
Aw.
it was like a break. And then when it was time to start the event again, I was like, oh, where'd she go? I want to talk to her more. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Christy and let her do her introduction of what she does. But it's going to be a really interesting conversation because Christy's done so many different things. Lawyer, sheriff, written a book. So we have a lot to talk about. And what I love to do is share stories of inspiration. And so you can inspire because you have done so many different things, and clearly fear is not a problem for you. So I'd love for you to talk and share about, what made you do all these different things. And as you said, you're a high achiever. You're very, very successful in your business right now. So go ahead and introduce yourself and start where you want to start.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Christie Miller, currently the health coach's coach. And I say currently because my friends have all said that I suffer from career ADD. However, I have finally determined what I want to be when I grow up, and that is a coach. I've been coaching since roughly 2013, and I just absolutely love what I do. The reason why I'm a coach today is because back in 2000, my beloved dad, I was daddy's girl, shortly before he died of premature age, died of preventable diseases. Shortly before his death, he looked at me with so much deep regret and tears in his eyes. And he said, I did this to myself. And in that moment, I knew I had to change my life. And I was an overworked corporate attorney. My dad worked too much. I worked too much. He ate junk food. I ate junk food. He smoked too much. I drank too much.
Mm.
And I just knew that I was going down the exact same path that was going to lead to a premature death.
And how old was he? I remember you telling me the story.
He was 72.
Okay. That's when my dad died. But 72 seems older, I guess, when we're younger. My dad was so vibrant and vital. And when he died, suddenly he had a brain aneurysm or hemorrhage. And, it was like, he was way too young to die. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. My husband is 63. I'm 55. So I look at 72 and I'm like, that is way too young. Like
Yeah.
we aren't leaving this planet until at least 90. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm over 100. That's what I'm promising myself. But vibrant,
exactly.
vibrant. I want to be one of those ladies that, is an internet sensation doing her yoga or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to golf with a woman who was in her mid to late 80s, and she would walk the course and push her own bag. So anything is possible. I think it's all about our mindset and what we decide we want to do. And it was interesting because when you introduced me, you said that I don't have any fear. I have the exact same amount of fear as every other woman does. I just manage it and I push through the fear.
Love that. So tell me, your dad died. You were drinking too much. You were overworked as an attorney. So what was your first step?
My first step was really a knee-jerk reaction. And within, I think, a couple weeks of my dad's death, I was the general counsel of a publicly traded company, the lead attorney, and I walked into the CEO's office and gave my notice. And he looked at me and said, "Oh, you're just in pain. Why don't you take the weekend off?" Which
How close
sounded,
was this to your dad's death? Was this within a week or?
like 2 weeks after my dad's death, I walked in to quit because I knew I was on that same train. And when I gave my notice, the CEO said, "Oh, you're just in pain. You're trying to cut out more pain in your life. So why don't you just take the weekend off?" And I took the weekend off and I came back on Monday. I felt great. Wow, I had 2 days off. Woohoo. But then over time, I was like, no, I'm really am quitting. And I stayed for about 7 months.
Mm.
I gave my notice, 2 weeks notice, and then they negotiated to keep me there longer. And I agreed on a very reduced schedule to help with the transition of the new general counsel coming in. But I just knew I'm out of here. And I decided in that moment, I'm just going to go have fun. And so I decided I was going to become a single digit handicap golfer. And I invested a lot of time and money into getting really great at golf. And I played golf 3 to 4 times a week. And then I just got bored. And I'm like, okay, I can't be the lady that lunches. This is actually really boring.
Yeah. So you made some health changes, not just golf, but you changed your eating habits.
Yeah, eventually.
Okay.
And when I said I was quitting law, it was so that I could work on my health and happiness. And I worked on my happiness and I got really happy, but I ate a lot of hot dogs and drank a lot of beer on the golf course. So the health didn't improve until about 10 years later when it was right around my dad's birthday. And I looked at what I was doing to my body and I thought, damn it, Miller, you haven't learned a damn thing. And you are not using the lessons that your daddy taught you. And so in that moment, I made a decision. All right, this is it. And I went on to lose 31 pounds. And
Wow.
then that sparked, I've always been an athlete, but that sparked this new interest in how can I help other women that are struggling with their weight, that have most likely struggled with their weight their whole life? How can I help them? So I got certified in personal training. I got certified in nutrition, and I got certified in life coaching, and then later success coaching with Jack Canfield.
Yeah,
And
I
I created
saw. Yeah, I saw on your bio that you're a Jack Canfield coach, and his book, The Success Principles, was one of the first books I read when I started my online business on training wheels, as I call it. And what a powerful book that was for me. I contemplated signing up as a coach with him.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
spent a whole year um, basically being trained by him. I think I was with him in person 25 days. He's just the best.
Mhm.
I highly recommend to everyone watching this or listening to this to read the Success Principles and promise yourself that for the rest of your life, you will read one chapter a week. It's not a book that you read once and put it away. In fact, it's funny that you even brought it up because he now has a new workbook, which
Oh, cool.
happens to be sitting on my desk because I just got it a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's so cool. And for people who aren't familiar with him, he, I think, is behind the Chicken Soup for the Soul books and series. Yeah.
Yes, that's what he's best known for is Chicken Soup for the Soul. But then he went on, he is such a personal development guru. I mean, I call him the king of personal development. There's not a single person that I would want to learn more about personal development than Jack. And I incorporate so many of the things I learned from him into what I teach my clients, and even more importantly, into my life.
Yeah, that's great. We'll put a link to that book on Amazon in the show notes because, yeah, it is on my bookshelf and was very profound for me. So that's awesome. Yeah. So, and continue to back to your story. So you started to get these certifications. So what did you do then? Because a lot of times people, they do the education piece, but then they flail and they can't make it work. So, and was your intention to go in the online space, or was your intention to do it face to face?
Oh no, I went directly online. I had one personal training client in person, and that solidified the fact that I didn't want to do that. And I immediately went online. I created a company called Eat, Train, Win that was all about eating healthy, training daily, and adopting the winning mindset, or winning back your happiness. And I went for it. I hired a coach. I had the fancy website, the whole bit. And I created incredible programs, and I lost $88,000 in the first 2 years.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
what
so
business
bad.
owners do. They got to take the risk. Well, they don't always lose money, but you have to believe in it and make that investment. And yeah.
Yeah, it was so bad that the IRS came knocking on my door, which actually means a letter in the mail, about this hobby of yours that you're trying to deduct. And my whole problem was I didn't like to sell, and so I wouldn't even try, which is
Mhm.
why I was losing so much money. And then at the end of that year, I remember looking at my husband with tears in my eyes saying, I'm going to shut this down. Like, this is ridiculous. And he looked at me, and he hates it when I tell this story. He's so supportive that he looked at me and he said, well, why don't we just consider this your volunteer job? The poor man. I have told that story on stage when I'm in front of 1,000 entrepreneurs, and he's in the audience, and he knows right when it's coming in my presentation, and he always just kind of cringes. He meant it in the most lovely way. It wasn't about trying to pacify me. He just believed in me so much, and he thought that would take the pressure off of me. But the
Yes.
truth of the matter is, he was my enabler. Yeah, we just kept funding my business, and that wasn't an issue financially. And so I didn't have to sell. And so in that moment when he said that, those were fighting words. And I had already decided that if I wasn't profitable and if I wasn't a 6-figure business at the end of the next year, I was shutting it down, and I'd go back to golfing every day. And that year, within 90 days, I brought in $57,789, which was $200 more than the gross revenue of the prior 2 years combined. And it was just a simple mindset shift. I
Yeah.
didn't know anything new. I didn't have any new skills. It was, all right, Miller, stop playing around in your business and let's go for it. And I
Yeah.
did, and it works.
Yeah. So what is it that you think, because you weren't money motivated, clearly, and that's something that I love to bring up, is that I think when money is the object, then, and it's not your heart, it's not something that is really, coming from a deeper purpose, you
Mhm.
run into trouble, right? So can you describe kind of like what drove you then, and what was the shift in the mindset that made
Yeah,
you go after it?
I'm a very competitive person. I played team sports my whole life. And so for me, it was two things. My why power was very deep, which is what got me through 2 years of losing money. Most people would just quit. Because even if you're not money motivated, throwing money into a business and losing money for 2 years straight, you have to have a deeper why. And my why power was, I didn't want any child to ever lose their parent at too young of an age to preventable diseases. And you can't see it in the video here, but my stairs going up to our sun deck are right there, and it's chalkboard paint. And I have at the top stair, it says, I did this to myself. And it has a sad face and it says dad, and it has a happy face and it says me. Because now I am doing all of this to myself in a positive way.
Yeah. And don't you think it's going to make you live longer? One of my missions is to have people do the work they're meant to do for the rest of their life, so they never want to retire. Because when I started, my goal was, I want to retire. I want to make enough money to retire, or, I want to get away from this cubicle life. But then once I found what was, I believe, my purpose and reason for being, it's like, why would I ever want to stop this? So it came from it completely did a 180 and the shift in the mindset.
Yeah, it's really interesting because my dad wanted to work until the day he died. He was a CPA, the typical accountant, favorite pencil, favorite eraser, no hobbies. I just loved him. He was a super intelligent, gentle man that loved his work, but then he didn't really have an outside personal life. Like, work was his main thing. But he always was there for me whenever I needed him. So I don't want it to make it sound like he wasn't there for me. He was the best dad ever. But work, that was his love. He really loved it. And I remember saying to my husband so many times when I was a lawyer, I don't know what dad's smoking, but I'm going to retire at the youngest possible age. Let me go in, be the corporate lawyer, make all the money I need to, and then get the hell out of there. But now, because I do what I love, because I found my passion, I don't know if I'm going to do this the rest of my life, but I will certainly do it well into my late 60s.
Right. So what was it about the business that you changed that turned it profitable from your expensive hobby?
Yeah, I tapped into that why power, and I asked myself, why am I doing this? And then I looked at all the women who were getting incredible results. I have clients that have lost over 100 pounds. My assistant right now, my integrator, my client excitement officer, as we call her, Jane, she lost 90 pounds with me. And now she's my right-hand woman. And so I was really looking at my why power and the results my clients were getting. And basically I had to come to Jesus discussion with myself of, Miller, why are you being so selfish? Why are you not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to learn how to enroll people in your programs so that you can help more people and have a bigger impact? Because my whole mission was to help women lose 1 million pounds.
Right.
And
but now you've kind of turned, and I don't know if this was just kind of the evolution of your business, but you've turned into coaching coaches, right? Or helping coaches. Okay.
Yeah, that was not intentional. What happened is I was on Jack Canfield's stage and I let out that secret goal that I just said, that I was on a mission to help women lose 1 million pounds. I had never said that out loud to anyone. Nobody knew that was my little goal. I call it my little kid's goal. I'm going to become a rocket scientist. It was I'm going to help women lose 1 million pounds. And I was doing a 90-second introduction on Jack's stage, and somehow that came out, and it was like a Scooby-Dooby-Doo moment where I was trying to grab it and pull it back in and swallow those words. And all at the same time, I felt like I was on fire and like I was freezing to death. It was the most unusual physical manifestation of a huge change that was upon me that I didn't even know was happening. And within 6 months, I had 110 health coaches that I was delivering business coaching services to.
And because you can't scale so a million pounds unless you're working with really, really heavy people on a one-on-one. Yeah, you got to have.
What I believe happened is the universe heard me say that and said, okay, you're serious? let's go for it. And universe, God, the great pumpkin, Kermit the Frog, whatever the viewers or listeners believe in, basically put this opportunity in front of me that was so scary. I loved being in the trenches doing the weight loss. But then this opportunity came and it was like, how am I really going to reach that 1,000,000-pound goal? And the door was open and showed me the way. And within a year, I had 2 six-figure businesses and I had to make a choice. I remember being in a session with my business coach and, here I am back to working 80-hour weeks like I was as a corporate attorney. And she just looked at me and she's like, which one do you want to let go of? And my first answer was, I'm letting go of the business coaching, the health coaching, the weight loss. I love being in the trenches. I love seeing each woman's change. And I was all ready to go down that path. And I just hit the pause button. I'm like, let me just really think about this. Let me meditate on it. Let me pray on it. Let me journal. Let me drink on it. Let me run on it. Let me try every single approach. And I finally realized that this was my true destiny. This was how I was going to have a bigger impact on the world. And we went through this Eat, Train, Win farewell tour. And the rest is history. Here I sit as the health coach's coach.
Yeah.
And I love coaching my health coaches and I love hearing how they are having a bigger impact on the world.
Right. So you help any health coach. Like if I was still in my Beachbody world, I could reach out to you for help if I needed to. Because I think it's important that people, if they are doing that and they're listening, that they know that they.
Yes and no. I am not an MLM coach.
Right.
And I don't know if Beachbody is technically called that, but I help coaches who have their own coaching system or who want to create a course or personal trainers that want to take their personal training business online. I don't help people that sell essential oils or other people's products because that's not my expertise.
Right. Yes. And it's interesting because I had just had an episode about why I left network marketing and why it was so limiting to me. And I saw that there was something else. Like, why am I letting these limitations of being in this box? I can do my own thing. And then I expanded past health and fitness. But yeah, people who have a real passion, who are personal fitness instructors, and they do that too. And then just wanting to get in their own zone and create something of theirs, gosh, it's a perfect place to be. And I highly recommend sometimes people think they need that crutch. And I think the crutch is great to start if you're, on a toe dip and you just aren't really quite ready to go all in and you're still kind of straddling maybe a full-time gig. And you're just like, when I started Beachbody, I just had results. I had gotten the best shape of my life at age 55 and I want other people to feel like this, So I didn't have any certificate, but yeah, so it's kind of a stepping stone. But I love that you have this niche and you don't try to help everybody. You just try to help these specific people who are doing these specific things.
Yes. And as they say, niche is rich, broad is broke. So the things that I teach, they go across every industry. 5-day challenges are how I built both of my 6-figure businesses, and they work whether you're a health coach or a business coach or a relationship coach or a money coach. But in all of my marketing and everything that comes out of my mouth, I am talking to health coaches, personal trainers, anyone within the wellness industry, because my message is going to land with them. Whereas if I was just talking to anyone, hey, anyone want to create a 5-day challenge? Hey, anyone want to create your online course? It falls on deaf ears because you're just kind of speaking out into a vacuum. So that's why I niche. Plus it's my passion, and it allows me to continue really focusing on the I did it to myself mentality and really just help the world become a healthier place.
Right. So how did you know it was your passion?
Yeah, just by going through my own transformation of losing the weight. And I've always been a confident person, but the confidence just went through the roof. And I always would tell my clients, it's not about the person you become because you don't carry the weight. It's the person you become because of the changes you've made in your life that have led to the weight loss. And that's what builds the confidence. That's what builds the badassery. And that's what builds this attitude of feeling like you're unstoppable. And so even though I sold weight loss, what I delivered was a personal transformation, mind, body, and spirit. And I love it. Like it just fascinates me to see people unlock their potential and really go for it.
Right. Yeah. It's like this soul deep burning. I feel like that this is what I want to do night and day. I don't even want to go to sleep at night. I wake up in the morning. You never want to hit the snooze button.
Mhm.
You know, it's just so great when you find that thing and then you can do it. Just love
Yeah,
that.
it's amazing. I absolutely, as you can tell by the smile on my face, I absolutely love what I do. My approach to business is all about simplicity and fun and getting results. And at the end of the day, like I walk out of my office and I'm happy. I'm happy because of what I'm doing. You can tell for the people that are watching this instead of listening to it, my office looks like a box of crayons exploded in it. And
Yeah,
that's
well,
what makes me happy.
yeah, just for the people who are not watching, she looks like she's a kindergarten teacher. She's got a chalkboard and she's got a happy face with flowers in it. I guess that's a vase. And yeah, a book. I don't know. You've got a mermaid there with, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. So let's go back a little bit in time. So you mentioned fear. So tell me some of the fears that you had that you conquered, and do you recall kind of how you conquered them? Like how did you talk yourself down off the fear ledge?
Yeah. I, it's the common fears, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of rejection. And I remember way back when, I don't remember the exact age, 8, 9, 10, and I was on the track team and I had always run the 100-yard dash or 100-yard sprint. And I was a firecracker. Like you light me up and I'm going to go. And at the end of the 100 yards, I'm dead. Like I've left it all out on the track. And somebody was sick at this track meet. So my coach said, you're going to run the 440, which to a little kid, like, wait a minute, I do a 100-yard dash. You want me to do a whole lap? And I really didn't even know if I could do it. It was that fear of failure. So my dad was in the stands and he looked over and he saw me running, full on sprinting on the practice track. I had to go prove to myself that I could do it
Oh.
before the race. And so I think there's always been this subconscious fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the fear of success, which, okay,
Yes.
my next goal is, because I'm multiple six figures, my next goal is to be a 7-figure business. So there's the fear of success, which is, oh my gosh, what will my life look like? Will that be a nightmare? You know, managing all the employees, how many more people am I going to bring on? I think we all have those fears, and it's just really identifying them. Because if we let them play in the background, like when we have too many tabs open on the internet, it slows us down. And if we aren't acknowledging that they're there, we can't do anything to help ourselves address them and identify if we have that fear, because there's a hole in our goal. So for example, if I said I wanted to create an online business and I had this fear of failure, I have to ask myself, what is that fear based on? And maybe it's based on, I don't know technology. Great. Perfect. Now we can identify how to get more comfortable with technology.
Yeah, we can plug that hole. I like
Yeah.
that. Hole
Yeah.
in the goal. That's
The
really
hole in
good.
the goal. Yeah.
Is that a
Always
Jack
have to plug the
Canfield
hole in the
thing?
goal.
I don't recall that, but that's a good one. I like it. Quotable. Um, so what's your book about? And when did you write it? I
Yeah.
have a goal of writing a book, so I'm very curious about that.
Yeah. My book is called The Playlist for Life. If you wake up to the right song, how can you not succeed? And I wrote it back in 2014, and it came to be because I was at a 10-day business conference in Las Vegas, not on the Strip. There was no partying going on. It was like hardcore. They talked about this conference that it was like an MBA in a week. It wasn't an MBA, but it was very intense. And Elvis Presley's stepbrother, David Stanley, was there. And he had done this big speech. This was early on in my business. He had done this speech, and then he had played The Impossible Dream by Elvis Presley. And I was sitting in the audience and I just started bawling because I had that secret goal of helping women lose 1 million pounds. And at that point, it felt like the impossible dream. So I went back to my hotel room that night and I downloaded the song and I set my alarm to wake up to that song. So I saw David the next day and I just thanked him for his presentation and I told him what I did. And he was like, oh, well, what do you normally wake up to? And I'm like, Colby Caillat's Bubbly, but that just makes me want to walk on the beach. So then I saw him.
Or drink another beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or pop open the champagne.
That's right.
So then I saw him like 5 or 6 days later at a reception, and I just said, David, Christie Miller, I came up to you earlier in the week. I just want to tell you, I'm still waking up every day to the song, and it has definitely changed my life. And here's the thing, if you wake up to the right song, how can you not succeed?
I love
and
that.
he was sitting at a table. He jumped up and he said to me, that is a book title, and if you don't write it, I will. And I was so exhausted from the week. I looked at him and I said, what did I just say?
That is such a universe download moment.
Oh, completely.
Oh my gosh. I love that. And I love that now the listeners can have an action item to go find a song they want to wake up to every morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the book about? And by the way, little random fact, I saw Elvis in concert.
Whoa.
That's how old I am.
So the book, which David basically outlined right there as we were talking, he just said, he's like, this is what you do. You pick a song per chapter and you pull a lesson out of each song.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So
I want your book now. Okay, we're going to put it in the show notes. Is it on Amazon? Okay.
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we kind of outlined 3 chapters.
What a fun book, because you get to pick all the songs, so you can stories to tell.
I picked all the songs. I made a Spotify playlist. If you have the Kindle version, you can click on the song and it will take you to Spotify and play the song. And
what's one song? Give me, besides, I'm sure To Dream Impossible Dream is one of them.
Yes, that's one of them. One of them is Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Oh, I love him.
It's the only chapter that I talk about anything related to healthy living. And it was that you can't be perfect. You have to have what I call planned indulgences.
What a fun book.
Yeah. Within each chapter, there's just an introduction that has some of the lyrics that are paraphrased because of copyright issues. I couldn't just put the lyrics in there. And then I talk about the lessons learned from those lyrics. And then there's a companion workbook that can be downloaded.
Love that. That's so cool. So that was about a year into your that's when it was still a hobby, I guess. When it's still an expensive hobby.
Yeah, I was writing the book and creating my first online program, Feel Good for Life, at the exact same time. And they both had the same deadlines. And it wasn't because I thought I was a superhuman being. I had no idea what it was going to take to write a book. And I had no idea what it takes to create and launch an online course. And I remember my husband came in and I was sitting here at my desk, tears. He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I can't keep up. I'm going to miss both of these deadlines. And he's an entrepreneur, always has been, always will be. I say he's unemployable. And he looked at me, he's like, hire help. And I'm like, I can't. These deadlines are so close that if I hire help right now, it'll slow me down. And he said, all right, tell me when you're going to hire help. And it was literally the day after the book was published, which was, I think, 3 weeks after my course launched.
I love that.
And then I hired help.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to touch on is, it sounds like you have an amazing man in your life. I have an amazing man too. I remember one day he said, because I quit my 6-figure corporate job in October, walked away for good. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. And, just kind of a leap of faith. Why am I spending 8 hours a day doing it for the money? I mean, that doesn't make sense. That's telling the universe that I really don't believe in my purpose,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But I remember my husband saying one day, I just want you to be happy. And
Aww.
aren't those the best words you can hear from somebody who's, even though he doesn't have a clue about what I do and the online business that stuff I do. In fact, just gets jealous. He's like, you're on the computer, and he wants attention. So what would you say to somebody who, because you probably work with people who have spouses that aren't really believing in what they're doing yet, although you have one that is supportive. So what is your advice to them?
Yeah. First, I just want to say I have the coolest husband ever. We just celebrated our 31st anniversary because clearly I
Mm.
was 12 years old when I got married. Uh,
Uh,
yeah, he is the wind in my sails. Like
mm.
whatever I want to do, he is there for me. We kind of joke that I'm the kite that's just flying all around and he's standing at the bottom and he just tugs the string every now and then if I'm going for the electrical wires, just to keep me a little bit.
What a great balance, though.
Yeah, it really is. And he's so stable and everything has a place. Every place has a thing. And I'm this whirlwind of pig pen. So I have that. I have such stability. I have such support. What I say to other entrepreneurs that don't have that is don't try to force it on the spouse and go out and get the support you need by
Mm.
joining a coaching community. I mean, you and I are both in Business by Design. It's the greatest community ever. And
Yes.
you and I even went into Next Level, which is a higher investment because we knew we would accelerate our growth. We knew that we would be with a different level of entrepreneurs than in the entry level. Not that there's anything wrong with entry level, but we were willing to invest more. And if anyone wants to accelerate their growth, a coach is necessary, a community is necessary, because entrepreneurship is the loneliest thing in town. And it's actually spelled wrong. It should have a T at the end instead of a P, because all your bleep will come up. I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not short enough. All the I'm not enoughs will come up, and you need a coach and you need a community to support you through all of that.
Yeah. And the thing that I love, he just had an open enrollment, which is over now. But I posted in his group where a lot of people were considering joining. And I basically said one thing that there's no price tag on, that he should put $1 million price tag next to on his page that explains the program, is the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it's supportive, it's kind, it's abundant. There's just nobody trying to steal your idea. There's nobody trying to be better than you. Everybody is lifting each other up in that community. And I said, I got my photographer from that group. I got my dog trainer from that group. I got, it's like, my brand person from that group, my logo from that group. And then, you hear about all these software that you never even heard of. And that, there's so much value in just the community. And it's, so I appreciate that you said that. Find it where and search for the one that you feel is the best one for you. And
Yeah.
I feel
And
very fortunate. Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that, because I have made pathways through various communities and I have found my two homes. I have been with my coach, Dallas Travers, over at the Six Figure Coach Club since 2013. Love her. I don't ever foresee not coaching with her. And I'm in James's inner circle.
Oh, you
And
got
I'm,
in. I knew you were applying. Oh my
yes,
gosh. That's great.
so honored to be accepted in as a first-time applicant. And I love being there. I go through moments of thinking I don't deserve to be here. I'm like the little sister in this group of 7-figure entrepreneurs. And then I tell myself, yes, you have your own skills and things that you do that some others can learn from too. And it's a
Well,
great
some of
community.
them have been in there for quite some time. So they
Yeah,
started where you are. They just haven't left yet. They're just
exactly.
learning
And
more.
I don't foresee ever leaving that either. Like, I feel like I'm the puppy that found its forever homes, and I have 2 forever homes, and I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if it's like you, but like I remember when I was decided to join that community, and I didn't know about Next Level. And so when I saw it, I was like, there wasn't even one question or thought not. And I don't know if maybe I was younger, I would felt differently, but I'm like, I freaking don't have time. I've got it. I don't have a year to wait and then wonder, it's like I've lost a year. So I just wanted to accelerate and go that route. So
Yeah.
this has been amazing. So many great things that people can take away from this episode, including your book. I think that's great. And the action items that we talked about. So what would you like to say to somebody who is considering a switch, that there's something pulling them in a different direction, but they're fearing all over the place? What would you be your advice to them?
Yeah, I think my advice is live with no regrets. And
Yes. Mhm.
for me, if I hadn't jumped after my dad's death, I would probably be 100 pounds heavier now. I would probably be divorced. I wouldn't have the life that I have. And so often we find ourselves metaphorically with one foot on the dock and one foot in the boat. And you can't live your life like that. You've got to either choose the boat or the stability and the safety of the dock. And I say, choose the boat. Go
Yes.
for it.
Power boat all the way.
Yes.
Wind in your hair. I can feel it now. So no rowboat for me. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you again in person, and when hopefully we can hug. So, all right.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
All right. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into the Not Your Average Lives podcast. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe on iTunes if you have an Apple device. You can find free resources and learn what else I have going on at the moment that might interest you on my website at notyouraveragegrandma.com. You can also find me on Instagram or Facebook at Not Your Average Grandma. If you liked this episode, it would make my heart so happy if you could leave me a 5-star rating. You can also add a review to let me know what you like about this podcast, which will help spread the word about it to others who need a little midlife inspiration. As always, be you, listen to your inner voice, and focus on reigniting that lost spark so you can start living your own Not Your Average life.